Morning Money Info brought to you by Princeton Research with Mike King in Las Vegas and the one and only Charles Moskowitz up in beautiful Beantown. Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning. Chipotle is really hot this morning.
No kidding. Yeah, they apparently they lifted their full year sales outlook. Not too shabby.
Yeah, it's up. Can you imagine? It's up over 60 points.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw it up as much as 72.
Wow. Really?
Yep.
Holy smokes.
And, just in case people think about trading in the after hours on some of these stocks, after the earnings come, you can trade until, I think it may be 8 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
You can trade from 8 in the morning till 8 at night.
Yep.
And Netflix, which had, about as expected, but big subscriber growth in Europe, traded yesterday after the close up as much as 20, and this morning is down 12. So sometimes the first action in the stock after the earnings come, but before the conference calls, is a mistake. Plus, the market's very thin during those hours.
Well, is this guys is supposed to be the death blow hour, according to activist Bill Ackman, for Herbalife.
And it's only up $2.60.
Yes, he's supposedly going to have some sort of a news conference that'll cripple the company, supposedly. Yeah.
Well, he mentioned it. They started talking about it. They had him on CNBC around 1 or 2 o'clock yesterday, and the stock, even though, like I said, it's up $2.60 right now, was down over $6. This morning at around 9:20, they had the CEO from Herbalife on saying, he doesn't understand the company, and so we'll see.
But the chart's a disaster. I mean, if you look at the 200-day moving average at 65.5, and the stock's in the 50s, low 50s. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's interesting you say. It's a multi-level company, and that's got to be. Doesn't it have to be difficult anyway, Mike? I mean, how do you? It's a public multi-level. I mean, I don't understand how all that works.
Well, they've been around a long time, selling nutraceuticals, but a lot of the salespeople out there make ridiculously false claims and get them in a lot of trouble.
Ah, okay.
And more than that, there are plenty of people who make the bulk of their money by introducing new people.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of part of the crux of the issue. You don't actually have to sell product to actually make big money.
Right. On
the downstream people that you bring in.
Yeah.
And, regardless of what Ackman says or the CEO says, there are a couple of states that are investigating them. The FTC is investigating them.
Right.
And, of course, there's the issue of the big short position in the stock, which basically means Ackman could be right being short, and yet guys like some of the bigger funds and Carl Icahn are all on the other side buying the stock. So you can have what is usually referred to as a short squeeze in the stock, which, would hurt Ackman dramatically, and he could still be right.
Oh, God. Okay.
I mean, he could be right, lose a ton of money, and have the company go out of business.
So Icahn is buying Herbalife as we speak?
Was buying Herbalife from in the low 40s.
Wow.
And he has plenty of company.
Well, he's no dummy, that's for sure.
No.
And he isn't exactly a friend of. They're actually opposite positions on almost everything every day.
Yeah. That's what it seems to be, just reading about him. I mean, it's he's quite the contrarian, I think.
Well, he's done well, and you got to remember, he's done well for 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
that's true.
he must be pretty bright or understanding. I mean, he was in Netflix in the 60s.
Wow.
Dollars,
Yeah.
not years.
Right.
And in the 60s, and the stock is down 20 right now at 415.
Now, you bought Visa puts this morning, didn't you?
Yes, I did, because I think
Now,
the
how'd you get
valuation
that?
is a little stretched. I think that part of the issue is the fact that, I'm not wildly excited about the consumer in here. A lot of the retail stocks are down.
Well, good luck.
Well, the thing is, we'll keep a, we'll keep
The
a very
credit card
tight rein
usage
on it.
has been up like $20 billion a month all year.
Well, and
So-
here's my issue with it. The numbers are tremendously up. The job market kind of stinks.
Yeah.
Housing is kind of soft.
Terrible. The housing market is the weak part
And
of the
I'm
economy.
wondering what happens when Visa has to start putting out, and they do, I don't know whether they do it on a monthly or a quarterly basis, the, people behind the eight ball relative to making
That's
payments.
going to be a problem when that
Right.
time comes.
Right. And as we know, I'm usually early, so we'll see.
Yeah. Well,
Good point.
uh,
At least this time you waited for Monday,
Yep.
Tuesday,
yeah.
Yep.
instead of going in on Friday.
Right.
Charles, this almost sounds like you back in 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah, warning us about credit card debt
Yeah.
and the housing.
I wrote a piece for a buddy of mine who's in the mortgage business, and it was called "Is Your Greatest Asset at Risk?" And it was, just to generate leads. And I talked about the effect that we would have on people who's got adjustable rate, interest only.
Oh, yeah.
loans. And this guy picked up he probably did, the year before, he probably did 1,000 or 1,500 refis, and he put this piece out to convert people from, the interest only and, adjustable rate mortgages, and did probably about 800 conversions into, fixed rate traditional mortgages. So, you got to take a chance every once in a while, and
Yeah.
the piece suited him for, his business, and I think I got as much as, I don't know, $1,500 for it.
There you go. Not too shabby.
and he probably made $1,500 on each of those refis.
Yeah, wow, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Hey, as hot as Chipotle is today, I guess Mickey D's took a little right
Well,
crust in the
there was
chops,
news
huh?
on them and Taco Bell and Yum that it turned out that they were getting beef from a distributor out there, in China, because that's where most of Yum's business is now.
Right, yeah.
That they were getting expired meat.
Oh, that was the chicken problem over in China or something?
And beef.
Yeah. Oh, and beef. Okay.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay.
And so they pounded those pretty hard. But again, in this market, large cap, international companies, great American companies like them and Kimberly-Clark and, the Ingersoll Rand, the really big old names, have great yields, and people come after them. I don't expect to see McDonald's go down $10. $1.50, $2 here and there is, certainly not devastating, and they tend to bounce back.
Yeah. By the way, CNBC is reporting something that I had heard yesterday, and that's the fact that Comcast is pushing for the Fox takeover of Time Warner. And there's like several steps to that. Obviously, Fox would not coexist very well with CNN. But Les Moonves, I think it was, it was Monday, yesterday, mentioned in the NAB article that we get every afternoon that CBS would be willing to take on CNN in a scaled-back proportion. Obviously, CNN has got a lot of the foreign news bureaus that, or CBS has a lot of the foreign news bureaus that CNN does. There's tons of duplication. So I'm sure that there'd be, a real scale back in jobs as far as that goes at CNN. But, I mean, on the other side of the coin, Time Warner has been talking for maybe a decade of killing CNN1 and just keeping headline news. I mean, that has been the worst kept secret in the business. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but Comcast, ironically, is pushing it. Apparently, their stock's doing okay, but on the video side, let's put it this way: their high-speed internet revenue is off the charts.
Right.
But the television side of Comcast, because of higher subscriber fees, that is not doing quite as well. But I mean, the high-speed there are a lot of people who just have high-speed internet.
I kind of have the feeling that is as much of a wealth of choices now than it is a specific issue with the fees. I mean, obviously, that's always going to be an issue. But the fact of the matter is, when you can, two of my favorite shows now are not network shows.
Yes.
They're on USA.
Yeah, well, actually, Carol and I would say USA or TNT.
Yeah. There are a couple of news shows, and there are a couple. It's really the summer viewing that has picked up so dramatically with the quality of programming. I mean, there's a show on TNT called Suits.
Oh yeah, sure.
Terrific.
Yeah, it's
there's
a great
show on USA called Royal Pains, which takes place all out, in the Hamptons.
The Hamptons that is a fun show. Yeah.
Yeah. And as somebody who lived out there for 2 years, I'd say it's pretty darn accurate.
Yeah, that's the concierge doctor, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, but the wealth of choice here is, incomparable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. And let me just take one quick look here. Your little deal, SBGI.
Oh, yeah, Sinclair.
Yeah, had a great long base the beginning of this year.
Yep.
After coming down from that big rally that took it up to the, 37 area, and then by the middle of March, it had gotten back to the $24 area. Since then, it was up in April, it was up in May, it was up in June, it was up in July, and had a little bit of a pullback from the rally from 23 to 31, 32. Got back down into the 29s, and then about 3 weeks ago had a huge day from 28.93 to 34.58 in a day, and is currently trading around 34 and a half.
And last week,
we talked about that before too.
Yeah, Sinclair last week announced that they were starting their own sports network that would be for their over-the-air stations. They have purchased a ton of stations, and the little birdie inside Sinclair has been telling me that there are very quiet discussions between Sinclair and Scripps Television.
And who? I'm sorry?
And Scripps TV, and of course Scripps owns DIY and Home and Garden and the Food Channel.
Right.
That possibility of merging those two companies and creating what is it, Fifth Network or Sixth Network? I've lost track. But anyway, just believe me, having lived through two of those things, when we started ESPN and then just 7 years later starting Fox, I just can't even comprehend somebody actually wanting to start another 24/7 network. I just cannot even imagine that. But hey, it's only money, right?
Yeah, and there's plenty of it around.
I guess there is.
And it's cheap.
Yeah, well,
Only for the big players.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you very much.
Commercial paper.
Yeah.
People who can take the money for 270 days or less, like 9 months.
Right. The velocity of money is, slowed down to a trickle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Which
And Greg, I know that you
is
know this.
deflationary.
I know that you know this, but I think it's kind of interesting. What Les Moonves, who is probably the most successful guy in the business.
Great programmer, yeah.
Yeah, most people don't know that he's a failed actor.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he was a failed actor
Okay.
who decided to get behind the camera.
Oh, yeah. Jeez, that's a good choice. Oh,
Yeah.
man, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
my. Okay. Oh, well, boy, do
And it's funny because when you look at him, he looks like he's straight from Central Casting to play CEO.
Yeah, and he is. Oh, that's amazing. I did not know that about Les. Yeah. And
Okay, so Herbalife, which pulled back to up only $1.50, is now up 3.25.
But if you look at consumer stocks like Coca-Cola and McDonald's, they're taking gas. They're getting hurt.
Hey, how about General Electric? I haven't seen a chart that looks as bad as that one does in a long time.
It's a
for
really
major
bad company.
Yeah.
It's really it's a conglomerate that just can't make it. Ever since
Yes.
Jack Welch kind of overhyped the company, it's never recovered from Jack Welch days. But look at defense stocks. Look at Lockheed Martin, LMT,
Yep.
and look at Raytheon, RTN.
they've got to be
These
out.
defense stocks are perking along.
Well, no
The same
kidding.
thing.
No
Yeah.
kidding. You've got war on so many fronts.
Well, you got
Yeah.
that thug over in Russia, and you got, problems everywhere.
Yeah.
Certainly the Middle East is like almost an also-ran at this point.
Hey, I don't know who built that dome system for Israel.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
But that thing is the most amazing thing. You see these rockets being lobbed, and that dome stops them. And it's like, whoa. Yeah, I'm not sure
Well, that's our technology.
Oh, I know it is. And I'm not sure which company built it, but whoever did, I think I'd buy their stock.
It is pretty
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it's
is.
always amazing when you see the statistics. I mean, I know that now that they've started the, a little bit more of a ground war, it's, there have been a bunch of deaths on the Israeli side, but before they started that, it was, the count was 194 to 1.
Ooh, yeah.
But now it's something like 620 to 20.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's
It's unbelievable.
yeah, it's not going to get everything, but I mean, just as Mike just said, if you can only allow 20 out of almost 700,
You got to
that's
get rid of
amazing.
these tunnels. I mean, it's just
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
unbelievable, the hatred. How hatred could become so severe. It's amazing.
Yeah. I just don't understand that at all. I never have, and I guess I never
Just
will.
polarity.
Yeah. But, all those countries are very much alike in a way. You'd think that, come on.
I got to get this, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay. That's probably his broker. Oh, that's Charles Moskowitz there doing business. But, Michael, what's commercial real estate out in your end of the world, like in the Phoenix?
Well, anything retail-oriented is suffering. The casinos are doing very well. The tourism is phenomenal. But if you look at regional shopping centers, there's a lot of vacancies.
Oh, yeah.
Because the consumer does not have money right now.
Yeah.
And if you look at where money is being spent, you can just look at the market and look at defense stocks. It's not talked about very much, but these defense companies like Raytheon, Lockheed, even Rockwell Collins, they're getting a lot of money. And the money, there's only so much to go around, and it's not going to the consumer sector right now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's,
So-
yeah, it has
So
not.
as a result, look, real estate is really lagging. Real estate all over the world is, even in China, it's down like 7%. And so because there's so much regulation extending from the bad years of 07, 08, there's so much regulation that it hinders banks and lenders.
Mike, what did you see that 60-minute piece on the ghost towns in China? And they're still building in these are beautiful downtowns, or beautiful towns, period, and nobody lives there. And I don't know. I'm totally perplexed by that.
Well, they seem to continue their growth. They have the most phenomenal GDP growth year after year, 7.5% again this year. And it's been over 7% for several years running. That's incredible to me.
Is it real low? I mean, can we really trust the numbers we get out of there?
I don't know why they, and they're the biggest buyer of U.S. bonds.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's true.
So
Yeah.
they've been great supporters,
Mm-hmm.
and they are big investors in America in oil and real estate, and in big type buildings, major buildings.
You know, what amazes me with everything that seems to be going on, in the whole Ukrainian-Russian thing, how quiet the EU has been. Are they that dependent on Russian oil?
Absolutely. There's so many jobs in the EU. They're dependent on selling to Russia.
Okay.
France and Germany, they would have major unemployment.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to ask you. I think, well, Michael, no. Okay. Well, that answers the question I had, because I was wondering, why have they been so quiet through all of this?
It's a huge problem.
Okay. Wow.
This whole Ukraine thing with the insurgents
Mm-hmm.
being armed by Russia, it's incredible. There's so many loose factions.
Well, and at least...
Let's welcome Laurence Roe.
Hey!
Oh, good morning, Mike. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you all?
Good morning.
Hey, how are you, Lauren?